You remember this old piece of junk? You might recognize it as the super advanced Enchanting Station 2.0, which doesn't even work, and after several months it's finally been time to move on to 3.0 over here. First thing you'll notice, obviously, it's a mite more compact and clearly more survival friendly. I've also changed the basic concept a bit. We're not using minecarts at all anymore. Instead, we're generating redstone power levels using furnaces, and we're just sending them through comparators to keep the signal strength, which turns out to be a lot more reliable, a lot better, a lot more compact and survival friendly. In case you haven't seen the previous versions of this, you choose an amount of XP levels to enchant for, you put that amount of items in this chest here, and then the device does all the logic for you and gives you the amount of bookshelves where you have the best chances for getting that XP level. Keep in mind that this is not nearly 100% reliable. It's not guaranteed that you're gonna get the level you seek, especially not with odd numbers above like 15. The percentages for odd numbers of levels get lower and lower as you get higher and higher. See, we didn't get it there. And eventually they get to 0%, like 27 and 29. It's literally impossible to get those two levels. Odd levels, on the other hand, the chances get higher and higher as you get closer and closer to 30, and at 26 levels it gets up to 100%. I should probably also mention that this only works with items that stack, and there's a world download in the video description below. There's also a download of the MC schematic, and there's even a download of the Java program that I wrote and used to determine what bookshelf counts are in fact the best for getting certain amounts of levels. If requested, I might release a block by block tutorial for this later, but for now I can provide a list of all the things, the components and the materials you need to build this. If you download the world, you'll find this chest here. In it you'll find 3 more chests, and namely there are a list of all the components you need to build these blocks, lots of redstone blocks, chests and comparators and whatnot, and then all the materials that you need to craft all of these things. There's quite a lot of redstone, and there's this stuff for the enchanting table and the bookshelves, lots of wood. So I hope this helps you decide if you want to build it, and I hope it helps you if you want to actually build it before I release the tutorial. The rest of this video is going to be a not so detailed explanation of how this all works. By the way, this tells you how much you need to build it without the beacon effect at 15 bookshelves. This here is the same device except not compacted, which should make it a lot easier to follow and understand my explanation. So let's start at the in chest. As you can notice, it's a trapped chest. As such, it will output a signal strength of 1 whenever I enter it, which will power this hopper, this repeater and that repeater. It will lock both of the hoppers, so I can put items in and do whatever I want with them, but it will not start taking them out until I exit the chest. And then we have this repeater here. This just locks this hopper after 1 tick, and it unlocks the hopper after 1 tick as well, so this one gets unlocked before that one, but that doesn't really matter for now. It will become crucial at the final thing I will explain. The last thing is this repeater here. This one is just to reset the entire device whenever you open the chest. It powers this counter here, the item counter, which is the heart of the machine, so whenever you let power in there, it just puts it into the default position. While items are being transferred from this chest to that chest, each of these hopper is gonna have 1 item inside at all times, which powers these 2 comparators. These branches to the left here are not important for now. Let's just focus on this one, which goes straight to the counter. So how does the counter work, you might ask? Well, it's the most complicated thing in this entire device, but I'll try to explain it, so bear with me. It's an analog counter, and as such it has some signal strength within it. Currently that's 15, and it gets reset to 15 whenever it gets a pulse here, because there's a repeater at the end. But this comparator here is in subtract mode, so whenever it gets a signal from here, which is supposed to always be a signal strength of 1, since there's only one item in here, it will subtract 1 from the power it's getting here. And after 4 ticks that's gonna get around, because there's 4 comparators, and it's gonna subtract another redstone power strength. Redstone power strength. It's gonna subtract 1 more, and then after 4 ticks it subtracts 1 more, and it just so happens 4 ticks is the same amount of time as a hopper needs to transfer 1 item from here to there. So while we're getting the constant signal here, we just keep subtracting every 4 ticks, and it's the same as having a counter for all of these items that are being transferred. Does that make any sense? But as you can see, this signal is only coming from one of the hoppers, not both of them, so we're actually only counting half of the items, which decreases the maximum value from 30 to 15, and it just so happens 15 is the maximum redstone power level, which is perfect. That signal strength then goes to an analog decoder here. It's a common design of an analog decoder, except I've modified it to only range from 0 to 13. So if this is at 15 or 14, it's going to do nothing. None of the outputs is going to turn on. And that's actually what we want, because we want 0 bookshelves if we're putting it 0, 1 or 2 items. And I have also modified it by adding this delay here. That makes it so the analog decoder has a slow response while this is dropping. And that's actually good, because all of these outputs don't get spammed while we're counting downwards here. When one of the outputs does get activated, it powers this piston and that piston back there. They push 2 blocks up, or in the original one of them actually pulls a block downwards. And now this comparator is measuring how many items there are in here, and this one is measuring how many items there are in here. These furnaces and chests are the brains of this device. They keep the information about how many bookshelves you actually need at a desired amount of XP levels. So yeah, it's encoded in redstone power that comes out when a comparator is measuring it. And it's like different at all of these. Then when it gets high enough, I couldn't use furnaces anymore, because you'd have to put something in this slot, and that's not the most convenient. So use chests after that for the highest few bookshelf counts. And then you might be wondering, why is there a hopper here? That's because I can't use a chest in this case. In the original, this furnace is on top of it, and comparators can't read information out of chests that are blocked. Like if you can't open it, a comparator can't read the items in there either, and hoppers can't put stuff in and out. So that's why I had to use a hopper or a dropper. A dropper I didn't use because it started spitting out items when it got powered, because there was power nearby. So my only option was a hopper. By the way, that's the same reason I had to use a hopper here. There's a block on top of it in the original, and it gets powered every once in a while. Alright, now we're really getting close to the end. This orange stuff is just to combine all the signals, like wherever the signal comes from, it gets transported to here without changing the signal strength at all, which is very important. Here the signal merges from both sides, but as you can see there are a couple locks here. Now this is another pretty complicated concept. The signal strength that we're getting from the left and from the right are from 2 sequential XP level counts. See this and this. They're ordered this way, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 I think, or maybe it's just the opposite. and we have to decide which one it is, cause we're counting by 2 and this is alright, but now we have to decide which one it is, 3 or 4, or in this case I think it's 13 or 14. And this is where this side branches become important. See, they're going to 2 pistons, and you'll actually be able to see what's going on if I put a couple items in here, like 2 stacks. That's more than you usually do. This hopper took the first item, and then this one, and this one, and this one. As I've explained at the beginning, this causes extra delay on this hopper at the very beginning. So this triggered first, this piston triggered first, and then this one. But that doesn't really matter. What does matter is which one turns off first. See, this one turned off first because I put in an even amount of items. This hopper, this comparator turned on first, and it also turned off first. And the piston that turns off first is gonna get this block at the end. If I put in an odd amount of items, you'll see then this piston gets the block because this turned off before that one. And depending on which side the redstone blocks end up being at, we unlock this gate or this gate. We only allow one of these signals to go through, and namely the one that is basically correct. And then obviously the signal goes to all the bookshelves, turns on the just the amount of the signal strength here. In the original design it's very similar, like here comes the signal, except it goes around bends in places, like here, from here to here it's just one redstone connection, namely this one here, and it's the same thing as we have here, just one redstone connection, except in this case they're right next to each other, and in that case we have a comparator in between. So that was my a bit more detailed than I intended explanation. I hope I understood it. You can see all the circuits here as well, compacted. They're the same color, so you should be able to distinguish them from each other. I've just checked, and it hasn't just been several months since we've done the last version of this. It's been like almost a year. I've never sticked onto a project for so long, and I'm very happy we're still doing this and still making progress. Thank you guys for watching. I'm already looking towards building the next version of this, which I'll probably be getting around to doing in a couple months, judging by statistics of this project. But until then, thanks for watching. See you next time, I suppose.